Welcome to Mr. Disturbing. Tonight, we are plunging into the dark heart of the Appalachian Mountains with some truly unsettling true horror stories that will keep you up all night. If you're brave enough, smash that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next descent into fear. Now, get comfortable, relax. My name is Ryan. I am 36 years old. I work as a graphic designer in Roanoke, Virginia. I often hike alone in the Appalachian Mountains. The trail brings me quiet, space to breathe, to think. This year I chose a longer route, a section near the Tennessee border. The mornings were cool. The air smelled of wet leaves and pine, thick moss-coated stones beside the path. Birds called softly in the distance. Everything felt normal at first. The sky hung low with gray clouds. A light mist settled between the trees. My boots pressed gently into damp earth. The rhythm of walking soothed me. Hours passed easily beneath the rustling canopy. I set camp near a stream on the second night. The water moved slow and steady over dark rocks. I sat by the tent, listening to the forest settle. Distant owls called. Small branches cracked as something moved unseen. Later I drifted to sleep beneath a blanket of sound. The steady flow of the stream, the soft stirring of wind in the trees. I woke sometime in the night. The woods had grown silent. The stream sounded faint, muffled. I held still in the tent, listening. Then I heard it. A soft clicking sound. Slow, measured, like stones tapped gently together. It came from beyond the stream, closer than it should have been. My breath grew shallow. The sound continued, steady, deliberate. It circled the tent, moving through leaves without breaking them. My skin prickled. A cold unease settled deep in my stomach. At some point, the sound stopped. Silence returned, thick and heavy. I stayed awake, listening, until dawn crept gray and thin through the trees. The air smelled different that morning, damp and sharp, almost metallic. The stream ran slower than before. The forest felt still, expectant. I packed and moved quickly that day. The trail ahead seemed unfamiliar. Though I had followed my map carefully, the trees leaned closer, their trunks twisted in subtle ways. The ground grew soft beneath my boots, springy, unsteady. Fog rolled in early. It clung low to the ground. My footsteps echoed faintly in the mist. I felt watched. The sense grew stronger with each mile. My breath grew shallow, my shoulders tight. At twilight, I found no place that felt safe. The woods pressed too close, the trail too narrow. I sat, camped beneath a thick cluster of pines. Their needles muffled sound. The air beneath them smelled of earth and resin. Darkness came fast. The fog thickened. Shapes shifted at the edges of my light. Faint lights blinked between the trunks, pale, flickering, always just beyond clear sight. The clicking returned, closer, now, louder, slow and deliberate. It moved just beyond the pines. A deep vibration accompanied it, low, humming beneath the ground. I stayed in the tent, still as I could. The air inside felt thin, my head light, my chest tight. The sound circled, again. Over and over. I do not remember sleeping, only waking at dawn. The ground outside was marked. Deep grooves in the soil, circular patterns, no prints I could recognize. The trail was gone, swallowed by mist. The compass spun slowly in my palm. Every direction looked the same, trees stretching tall and dark into the fog. I walked without knowing where. The forest grew darker, the light dim even at midday. The humming returned stronger now, felt more than heard. Shapes moved ahead of me, pale and slender, taller than any person. They drifted between trees, silent, smooth. I could not bring myself to look directly at them. My breath grew shallow. my legs unsteady. By evening, the forest opened, a clearing of bare earth. Stones circled the space, tall and dark with age. Moss covered their surfaces, symbols etched deep beneath the growth. The air hummed. The ground vibrated. Figures gathered at the edge of the clearing. Many now, countless, pale and wavering in the dim light. One stepped forward, taller than the rest, its form almost solid, arms long and thin, its face hidden in shadow. It raised, one hand, palm out. The air thickened, my chest compressed, my vision swam. The trees seemed to twist, the ground tilted beneath me. A sound filled my head, a voice, not a voice. Words I could not understand. I stumbled backward. The circle remained fixed around me. The figures did not follow. Their pale eyes watched, waiting. I do not remember how I left the clearing, only the trees thinning, the fog lifting, the trail returning beneath my feet. I reached the road by dusk the next day, my legs weak, my mind numb. Now, weeks later, I hear the humming still, in quiet moments, in the dark before sleep. I see the figures at the edges of dreams. The mountains called to me once, they may again, and next time I may not return. My name is Ian. I am 40 years old. I work as an architect in Charleston, West Virginia. Every autumn, I take time away from the city. I walk the trails of the Appalachian Mountains. The silence clears my mind. The rhythm of walking soothes me. This year, I chose a remote section near Clingman's Dome. Few hikers pass this way so late in the season. The sky hung low, draped in thick gray clouds. Leaves blanketed the ground, soft and damp beneath my boots. The scent of moss and wet stone filled the air. For the first 2 days, all felt normal. I followed the winding trail through dense hardwood forest. The light shifted gently through tangled branches. The sound of distant streams echoed softly through the trees. Each night I made camp beneath tall, arching oaks. The wind whispered high above as I drifted to sleep. On the third evening, subtle changes began. The woods grew still as twilight deepened. Birds grew silent. No insects hummed. A strange hush settled over the forest. The air felt thicker, weighted with unseen presence. That night I woke long before dawn. The air inside my tent was cold, damp. A faint sound drifted through the trees, soft and rhythmic. A low thump, like a heartbeat beneath the earth. I lay still, listening. The sound grew louder. It seemed to circle the tent. The ground seemed to pulse beneath me, faint vibrations rising through my bones. My breath slowed. I waited for the sound to fade. At dawn, the forest remained eerily quiet. A fine mist curled through the trees. The trail ahead seemed different. The path narrower, the trees leaning in, their trunks twisted in ways I had not noticed before. The light dimmer, though the sky remained gray. By midday, I felt watched. The sensation clung to me, a weight between my shoulders. The trees seemed to close behind me. The trail ahead stretched unnaturally long. My compass needle trembled in my hand. Late in the afternoon, I heard it again. The low, steady thump. Louder now, closer. My footsteps slowed, ears straining for sound. The ground beneath felt soft, yielding. My legs grew heavy, my breath quickened. The mist thickened with the setting sun. Visibility shrank to mere yards. My head felt light, my thoughts blurred. The forest pressed in from all sides. A faint glow flickered in the distance, pale, flickering, moving slowly between the trunks. I followed without thinking. The trail vanished beneath my feet. The glow drifted deeper into the mist. The sound grew louder, the pulsing beat now a steady rhythm within my skull. I entered a clearing I had not seen before, wide, circular. The ground bare, dark earth exposed. In the center, A ring of stones stood upright, weathered, covered in strange markings. Moss hung in long strands from their surfaces. Figures gathered around the stones, tall, slender, faces obscured by shadow. They swayed in time with the pulsing beat. No sound came from their mouths, yet the beat deepened. My chest tightened. My breath caught. One figure turned, its eyes faintly luminous beneath the hood of shadow. It raised a hand, long fingers curling, upward. The air grew dense, charged with unseen energy. My limbs would not move. My thoughts slowed. The ground beneath the stones shimmered, dark shapes twisting beneath the surface. I could hear them now, voices without words, calling from deep below. A cold wind swept the clearing. Leaves spiraled upward in a soundless dance. Then, something shifted. A sharp snap of air. The beat ceased. The figures stilled. The glow faded, stumbled backward, released from the unseen grip. The mist parted just enough to reveal a narrow path. My legs moved of their own accord. I ran. Branches tore at my sleeves. Roots caught at my boots. The forest shifted and twisted around me. Cannot say how long I fled. The sky had darkened when I found the trail again. My camp was gone. The clearing empty. No sign of stones or figures remained. I followed the trail back, though it seemed unfamiliar. The forest was too quiet. The air too cold. I reached the road, the next afternoon. Now home, I struggle to sleep. The pulsing sound returns in the still hours of night. The sensation of unseen eyes lingers. The forest is patient. I hear its call even now. One day soon, I know I will return. And next time, I fear I will not leave. My name is Elliot. I'm 41, a photographer from Charlotte, North Carolina. Each October, I visit the Appalachian Mountains alone. The quiet trails, cool autumn air, and gentle solitude calm me. Nature's subtle beauty helps clear my restless thoughts. This year, I chose a secluded trail near Blood Mountain. It's an isolated path, less traveled and deeply silent. Tall trees towered softly around me, cloaked in dense mist. The air was damp, scented with wet leaves and old pine. Everything felt normal, familiar, peaceful at first. I hiked slowly, savoring the gentle crunch of fallen leaves. Birds sang softly in distant trees. My breath formed quiet clouds in the chilly air. Evening approached gradually, painting the sky shades of gray. I set camp near a narrow creek that murmured softly. Night fell gently, wrapping everything in calm darkness. I lay inside my tent, listening to water whisper softly nearby. Sleep took me easily, my dreams slow and comforting. Sometime after midnight, I woke quietly. Something had shifted subtly, disturbing my rest. The stream seemed distant, now muffled behind thick silence. Then, softly, faint tapping echoed in the woods around me. Slow and rhythmic, like gentle fingers on damp wood. My heartbeat quickened slightly, breathing shallow. I waited, listening carefully until tapping faded again. Uneasy sleep returned, briefly restless beneath heavy blankets. Morning came pale and cold. Outside, thin tracks circled my tent clearly. Long, slender marks pressed deeply into the moist earth. No animal I knew left prints like these. I felt anxious, packing my gear hurriedly to move onward. As I walked, mist thickened around me steadily. Visibility narrowed softly, trees blending gently into shadowed forms. Trails became unfamiliar, winding oddly, shifting beneath my feet. Sounds felt muffled, distant now despite closeness. Whispers brushed faintly against my ears, indistinct yet unsettling. By evening, dense fog obscured everything completely. I felt isolated deeply, alone in endless gray silence. Quiet footsteps followed behind, matching my pace gently. When I paused, so did they, hidden just beyond sight. My chest tightened quietly, anxiety growing steadily with each step. I hurriedly pitched my tent, surrounded by leaning pines. Nightfall arrived swiftly, pressing darkness close around me. The tapping resumed softly, gently brushing tent walls, rhythmically. Shapes drifted slowly through mist outside, pale, indistinct figures gliding smoothly, silently. My breathing grew shallow, muscles tensing involuntarily. Hours dragged slowly, anxiety deepening quietly within darkness. Eventually, sounds faded gently, leaving heavy silence behind. Sleep evaded me completely, fear twisting restlessly through my mind. The next day, fog lingered thickly, obscuring trails further. Trees leaned subtly inward, branches clawing gently at shoulders. Air thickened slowly, scented faintly metallic, cold and sour. Footsteps echoed oddly, muffled beneath swirling mist. Gradually, a low hum filled the air around me. Deep vibrations resonated softly through bones and chest. My pulse quickened slightly, senses sharpening urgently beneath calm exterior. Shapes reappeared faintly, drifting gracefully between twisted trees. Their forms tall and slender, faces hidden by shifting shadows. Ahead, trails opened suddenly into a clearing unfamiliar. At its center, ancient stones stood silently, dark and moss-covered. Pale figures circled slowly around the ring, humming deeply, rhythmically. My muscles froze softly, consciousness drifting hazily, mind dulling gently. One figure moved closer, gracefully, reaching toward me, slowly. Its pale hand extended silently, fingertips elongated strangely, beckoning. Visions filled my mind instantly, roots twisting endlessly beneath mountains. Tunnels winding silently, whispers echoing softly. In hidden chambers, instinct surged weakly, breaking softly through trance briefly. I stumbled backward quickly, breathing sharply, heart racing urgently. Figures paused silently, disappointment pulsing faintly through surrounding fog. Turning desperately, I fled blindly into thickening mist, branches grasping softly. Eventually, exhausted, breathless, I emerged onto familiar trails again. Fog slowly lifted behind me, clarity returning quietly. Yet back home, dreams remain haunted nightly by drifting shapes. Soft humming echoes faintly beneath silence, patient and waiting. The Appalachian mountains hide secrets deeply within shadows and mist. Now, each quiet evening, dread returns gently, subtle movements shifting at edges of vision. I sense deeply, inevitably, the mountains will soon call softly again. And next time, resistance may fade quietly, disappearing forever beneath softly humming darkness. My name is Caleb. I'm 38, a writer from Richmond, Virginia. Each October, I journey alone into the Appalachian Mountains. The solitude, the rust-colored leaves, the slow whispering wind, these things draw me back. The quiet woods always clear my mind, offering peace and calm. This year I chose a trail near Grayson Highlands. The trees stood tall and ancient around me. Fallen leaves covered the narrow path softly. The air felt cool, crisp, carrying faint scents of moss and pine sap. Everything seemed exactly as it should, tranquil, comforting, familiar. The first day passed slowly, uneventfully. I walked quietly, listening carefully to bird calls. Small streams trickled gently beside the trail, clear and murmuring. In the evenings, my tent sat nestled beneath towering oaks. Campfires crackled softly, warmth gently radiating outward into darkness. I slept deeply beneath heavy blankets, dreams quiet and peaceful. The second evening brought subtle changes. The forest grew strangely quiet as twilight fell. Birds stopped calling and insects ceased their gentle humming. An unusual stillness settled softly around my camp. Then, as darkness deepened, I heard faint footsteps nearby. Slow, deliberate steps crunching quietly on dry leaves, circling carefully. I strained to listen, pulse quickening softly in my chest. The footsteps paused briefly, resuming moments later, moving closer slowly. Heartbeat echoing gently in my ears, I peered carefully outside the tent flap. Nothing visible but shadows, shifting silently beneath moonlight. The sounds faded gradually, replaced by deep silence again. Sleep came reluctantly, uneasy dreams whispering softly of unseen watchers. Morning brought gray skies, clouds hanging thick and low. Dampness clung to the trees, fog drifting lazily among branches. Continuing along the trail, I noticed subtle changes around me. Branches bent oddly downward, creating strange arches overhead. Mist thickened slowly, obscuring views further down the path. I felt eyes watching quietly from shadowed places, though nothing stirred visibly nearby. As evening approached, distant humming began softly within the fog. The low, rhythmic sound vibrated gently through my bones. I hurriedly pitched my tent, anxiety growing quietly beneath skin. Nightfall arrived swiftly, darkness heavy and oppressive around me. Shapes flickered dimly through thickening mist outside. Pale lights glowed faintly, moving slowly, weaving between shadowed trunks. My breath grew shallow, senses sharpening acutely with dread. The humming intensified, deep and hypnotic, pulling insistently at my consciousness. The tent walls rippled softly, brushed lightly by unseen hands. My pulse quickened, muscles frozen in tense anticipation. Hours stretched endlessly, minutes crawling heavily through darkness. Finally, humming faded slowly into silence, leaving unease lingering thickly behind. Dawn revealed clear footprints circling my campsite. Long, slender impressions pressed carefully into damp earth. Trails seemed subtly altered overnight, winding, oddly now between unfamiliar trees. The compass needle spun uncertainly in trembling fingers. Each step forward heightened my isolation and anxiety quietly. Fog deepened further, swirling thickly around me, muffling sounds gently. Whispers brushed softly against my ears, indistinct yet profoundly unsettling. Trees leaned inward subtly, branches scraping gently across my shoulders. A sense of wrongness grew steadily, distorting perceptions quietly yet insistently. Eventually, the trail opened abruptly into a clearing unfamiliar. A ring of dark stones stood silently at its center. Moss grew thickly, vibrant green beneath swirling gray mist. Air felt heavier here, cold and metallic, humming faintly beneath feet. Pale figures emerged smoothly from shadows, drifting gracefully forward. Tall and slender, features obscured within shifting darkness. My muscles froze softly, pulse slowing inexplicably, mind drifting hazily. Their movements synchronized rhythmically, swaying gently, humming deeply together. One figure moved closer, reaching slowly toward me, fingertips elongated strangely. Visions flooded consciousness instantly. Ancient roots twisting silently beneath mountains. Dark tunnels extending endlessly into earth, whispers echoing softly within hidden chambers. Suddenly, sharply, instinct surged urgently through haze. I stumbled backward awkwardly, heart pounding rapidly in chest. Figures paused silently, disappointment radiating faintly through surrounding mist. Turning desperately, I fled blindly through dense fog, branches clawing softly at skin. Eventually, breathing heavily, I emerged onto familiar ground once more. Trails appeared normal again, leading quickly toward safety and home. Yet dreams now whisper persistently, pale figures drifting gently through darkness. Humming echoes faintly beneath silence, patient, waiting. The mountains keep their secrets, hidden softly beneath mist and shadow. Each evening, quiet dread returns gently, shapes shifting subtly within darkness. Someday soon, inevitably, the forest will call softly again. And next time, resistance may fade quietly, lost forever among trees. My name is Marcus. I am 42 years old. I work as a cartographer in Boone, North Carolina. I spend many weekends hiking the Appalachian Mountains. The quiet helps me think. The long, winding trails feel like home. This trip was meant to be routine. I chose a section near Shuckstack Tower. It was late October. The trees were bare, the ground covered in brittle leaves. The sky hung heavy, pale gray and still. The trail was familiar. I had walked it many times. The rhythm of my footsteps soothed me. The cold air smelled of damp stone and moss. My breath floated in thin, silvery clouds. Everything felt as it should. I made camp the first night by a small spring. The water trickled softly over smooth stone. I sat by my fire, listening to the forest settle. The wind sighed gently through dark branches. I slept easily beneath a thin layer of stars. On the second night, I camped higher. The trees were thinner, the ground harder beneath my tent. The wind picked up as night fell. The forest grew strangely quiet. No birds called, no insects hummed, only the wind, low and distant. Somewhere past midnight, I woke. The wind had stopped. The forest pressed in, dense and silent. A faint sound drifted through the trees, a slow, steady creak, wood bending under unseen weight. It came from just beyond the tent. I held still, listening, my breath shallow, heart slow. The creaking circled once, then faded. I waited for dawn, but sleep did not return. Morning was cold, the air sharp in my lungs. I packed quickly. The trail seemed unfamiliar. Landmarks I knew were missing. The forest leaned closer, the path darker beneath tangled limbs. The wind carried strange scents, metallic, faintly sweet. The air felt thick. My steps grew heavy. Each mile stretched longer. The forest too still, the silence oppressive. Late afternoon, a fine mist settled. It clung low to the ground. My boots left no sound in the damp leaves. Shadows moved at the edges of my vision. Thin shapes, gone when I turned. I made camp in a hollow. The mist thickened with nightfall. My lantern barely cut through the fog. The fire hissed low, its warmth weak against the cold. Then came the sound again, the slow, deliberate creak. Closer this time. My skin prickled, my breath shallow. I saw faint lights through the trees, pale, flickering, moving in slow circles. I stayed in my tent, still, listening. The lights drifted closer, the creaking louder. My heart pounded slow and heavy. The earth seemed to hum beneath me. I do not remember sleeping, only waking in dim gray. Light. The air outside was colder, the ground marked, deep grooves circling the tent, long and narrow, pressed into the earth. The trail was gone, the forest unfamiliar. The compass spun in my hand. The wind whispered low, voices without words. I walked without direction, each step heavier, the forest shifting around me. By twilight I found a clearing, the ground bare, black soil damp beneath my boots. Stones rose in a ring, tall and thin, carved with symbols I could not read. Figures stood between the stones, still and silent, faces hidden, in shadow, their forms thin and stretched. They watched, breath held, waiting. One stepped forward, its movements smooth, unnatural. The air grew colder, the earth trembled beneath my feet. A sound filled my head, deep and resonant, words I could not understand. I could not move. The figure raised an arm. The shadows deepened, my vision swam. The ground seemed to fall away. A pulse throbbed through my skull. Then light, a flicker. The figure's gone, the clearing empty. I stumbled back, the forest dense and cold, the path unfamiliar, my legs weak. I walked until I found the trail, or something like it. I followed it without thought, the trees watching, the air heavy. I reached the road by nightfall, exhausted, numb. Now back in Boone, the nights are long. I hear the creaking, the faint hum beneath the floor. In dreams, I see the clearing, the figures waiting. I know I will return. I can feel it. The mountains are patient. They wait.